First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
On day 3 of the Republican National Convention, we will begin to hear from the party's VP pick. You're taking a live look at the site of the convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This year's events are filled with more young voters as they lean increasingly to the right, heading into the general election season. This is WFT's First at 5. I'm Kade Sowers.
And I'm Valentina Sandoval. The young voter movement hasn't gone unnoticed. WFT's Kirsten Maselka is live in Milwaukee at the RNC. Kirsten, you spoke with party leaders about this trend.
There is an emphasis on the youth vote this week at the RNC. Florida GOP leaders and delegates are telling me they primarily attribute this shift to the higher costs of living and also a desire to hear from a wave of younger leadership. The Democratic Party appears to be losing its hold on a historically loyal group, young voters. Recent CNN polling shows President Biden trailing far behind President Trump at 40% compared to Trump's 51% among voters under 35. Similar results on Gallup and Siena polls underscore this trend. 28-year-old Republican Party delegate Ray Anthony says the cost of living is driving young voters like himself to lean right.
Well, it's the economy, right? People are graduating college campuses. They want to make sure that they can afford their student loans. With this high inflation and the cost of living being so high, it's tough, right?
Florida Republican activist and delegate Sue Snowden says she has witnessed this trend of youth voters turning to the Republican Party for its economic policy.
I think they're waking up, they're more aware, and when they hear the speakers and they hear issues that will affect them like jobs, salaries, being able to pay for rent, food, I think they then see, well, maybe I'm a Republican.
Congresswoman Kat Kammack says that the younger leaders in the Republican Party help youth voters feel represented.
For starters, we just nominated the youngest vice presidential candidate in my lifetime, J.D. Vance. He's 39 years old. As a millennial, I love seeing that young energy on the ticket. So that's one of the biggest things right now that we have put our foot down on, that we are very serious about representing millennials, Gen Zs, and what's to come.
Florida GOP Chairman Evan Powers says this extends beyond just representation of youth, but also encouraging them to get involved.
Well, I think a pick like J.D. Vance kind of changes the mark. It says you can rise up and get into power at a young age, and I think that encourages young people. And we share their values. And if you look at the Democrats now, they've become the party of elites. We've become the party of the working class. And I think that will just win more and more voters like we're getting in Florida every day.
Back in 2020, the youth voter margin was a much different story, with 59% voting for Biden and only 35% voting for former President Trump. Now, we'll keep watching this trend and also the latest here at the RNC, and we'll bring that to you tomorrow. Live in Milwaukee, Kirsten Maselka, WUFT News.
On day 3 of the RNC, all eyes will be on former President Trump's new running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. He will deliver a speech for the first time tonight in his new role. During his speech, Vance is expected to use his background to connect with voters. The campaign hopes that his past as a Marine and time at Yale Law School resonates with everyday people. And Vance is going to take the stage and try to make his pitch to America why they should support the Republican ticket.
We're going to get out there and try to fire up the crowd tonight and make the case that we have got to re-elect President Donald J. Trump to the White House, right?
Vance and Trump are aligned on several issues, from aggressive trade policies to false claims of widespread fraud in the 2020 election and immigration.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis took center stage last night at the Republican National Convention, and this morning he had breakfast with Florida delegates. WFT's Alex Land is also live at the RNC in Milwaukee. And Alex, the governor spent time emphasizing higher education.
Governor DeSantis told Florida delegates that Florida higher education should act as a blueprint for the rest of the nation. He continues to emphasize education and his reforms on a national level.
Part of the reason our country's where it is because of the decline of American education. So we're doing something about it in Florida. We've had tremendous success, but we've got a lot more to do. So be proud of that.
DeSantis didn't specify exactly what these reforms would look like, but he did say Florida colleges and universities have cut DEI programs, will continue to lower tuition costs, and will focus on classical education. Reporting live in Milwaukee, Alex Land, WUFT News.
A Florida bar is facing backlash over a sign referencing the recent assassination attempt on former President Trump. Trump supporters rallied outside the business in Lake Worth Beach Tuesday, that day after it was taken down. Harris Banana Farm put up on Monday outside the bar a sign that read, quote, "How do you miss a head that's that inflated?" And it didn't sit well with supporters of the former president. General Manager Lou Stout said the sign was free speech, but he meant no harm by it.
If I've offended anybody to the point where they're considering violence, I'll apologize and say, look, that's not what this place is about at all. I had a sign up about Biden a couple of weeks ago, and I never heard a word.
The sign was taken down on the same day, but the Stout said calls have grown for the bar to close for good. Harry's Banana Farm says its doors are open for anyone who wants peaceful discourse. WFT is at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee all week. We will continue to have live team coverage of the events and speakers leading up to tomorrow's speech of former President Trump as the official Republican nominee. Join us right here on First at 5 on WFT.org and on WFT 89.1 and 90.1.
Parts of north central Florida could see some showers and rains this evening. UF meteorologist William Maxham is live in the weather studio, timing out when the rains could impact our area.
Yeah, we're watching a few areas of showers, one area of some light rain across Dixie County, this kind of fading away. And the heavy stuff is all well to the east of I-75. We do have some moderate rain falling across most of Marion County, but it's a little bit further to the south that we're seeing our most intense storms into Lake County and Flagler County. We have a severe thunderstorm, and all this stuff going to continue to push on to the east. Most of us going to see a relatively dry evening, but sprinkle or two not out of the question. We do have a few clouds overhead. On campus around UF, temperatures are cooled from the rain. We're mostly into the 80s and 70s right now. And over the next couple of days, we're going to see more rounds of showers rolling through. We're going to track tomorrow's showers coming up in a few minutes.
Santa Fe College has teamed up with Uber to give students in urgent situations access to free Uber rides. The college announced the partnership this morning. A code will be provided in the wallet section of the Uber app for students selected by staff to be a part of the program. There will only be a limited number of vouchers, but there could be more available in the future if needed. Vouchers can only be used for Uber X rides within 15 miles of Santa Fe's Northwest campus or its centers.
A Columbia County Sheriff's Deputy is Florida's newest Resource Officer of the Year. Attorney General Ashley Moody gave the honor to Columbia County Sheriff Deputy Scott Sekanowicz. The deputy is known as Chewy by the students at Melrose Elementary and has been an SRO for 6 years. Colleagues describe him as attentive, positive, and supportive to the children. Anyone can nominate a Florida SRO for the yearly award.
With less than a month until the new school year, Marion County Public Schools will be holding their final hiring fair tomorrow. The fair will be held at the Klein Conference Center at the College of Central Florida from 3 to 5 p.m. There will be opportunities for instructional staff to receive a job and benefits immediately. The event will have face-to-face interviews as well as on-the-spot conditional contracts for those who meet state and district standards. Marion County is holding its annual back-to-school community give back backpack event next week. More than 6,000 backpacks full of school supplies will be given away to prepare for the school year. The event will be hosted by Advent Health Ocala and participating Marion County schools from 10 a.m. until noon on Saturday, July 27th.
The City of Gainesville is planning to add a dog park to Green Tree Park on Northwest 19th Street. Over a dozen residents attended a neighborhood open house last night to talk about the future dog park. They discussed the layout, the amenities, and potential safety precautions for dogs and their owners. Project manager Peter McNeese agreed with residents that the open house was a great way for the city to take taxpayers' opinions into consideration.
Coming up next.
The dog park will be built on a currently unused 2-acre field. Funding is expected to come from the extra sales tax for wild spaces and public spaces.
Coming up next when First at 5 returns, a Florida woman survives an alligator attack, how she was able to fend off the animal while swimming in a Tampa area river.
And first responders in one Florida town are utilizing a new life-saving device, how it's helping keep patients alive and allow paramedics to complete their critical measures during their time of need.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
A Florida woman is recovering after being attacked by an alligator. It happened in the Tampa area back on July 4th. Rachel Thompson had just finished her morning run and went into her backyard for a swim in the Hillsborough River. That's when the gator attacked, biting her leg. She recalls punching it in its snout, eventually getting away, pulling herself up onto a dock. Thompson needed emergency surgery.
The thought came to my mind, this is your last move. And his next is to roll you. And I just screamed. And I pried as hard as I could. None of the major nerves were severed. One clean fracture.
A licensed trapper removed the alligator from the river. It weighed more than 400 pounds and nearly 11 feet long. The gator was euthanized. Thompson will make a full recovery.
A high-tech CPR device is helping save lives in Central Florida. The Lucas 3 is a chest compression system that works on its own. First responders strap the device to a patient and it can begin automatic chest compressions within seconds. That frees them up to do other kinds of life-saving measures. All 56 Orange County Fire Rescue units now have the device.
Depth has to be at least 2 inches and it always compresses at the same depth every time. We save one life with it. To me, it's worth it.
First responders in Central Florida have used the device more than 100 times already this year. On average, a Lucas device costs about $20,000.
Still tracking some strong to severe storms around the area this evening. We'll show you where storms will fire up again tomorrow next.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back. We're tracking a strong thunderstorm moving across Lake County. It's closing in on I-4. Not severe, but producing a lot of lightning and rainfall rates probably in the neighborhood of around 2 inches an hour. This is going to continue moving off slowly to the east and then moving into Flagler County, closing in on Volusia County, closing in on Daytona Beach. We have a severe thunderstorm for Flagler County. Wind gusts of 60 miles an hour possible here. Elsewhere, the storms not nearly as intense. We're still seeing moderate rainfall across parts of Marion County. Ocala picking up just a sprinkle right now. Looking southward, we're seeing a cloudy sky from our sky cam here at UF. Temperatures, they're cooled down because of the rain. We're into the 80s and 70s right now, but earlier today, that heat and humidity combined to lead up to some areas where we got as high as 105, 106, dangerous heat in the forecast, where we could potentially be seeing heat index values in that neighborhood the next few days. But what will help is a formation of storms. Again, we're cooled from the earlier showers into the 70s and 80s right now, but we got a nice healthy dose of rain in many parts of Marion County over the past couple days. In fact, Electra about 2 inches of rain, and the Villages over 2 inches in the past 3 days. Further north, not quite as much rain this week so far. Alachua County, just a trace in Alachua, but Gainesville almost a half inch. A few locations picking up more of that, but the rain going to continue off and on through the next couple of hours. And again, tomorrow, again, these showers are moving away, and the rest of the area going to see the rain kind of diminishing in intensity, and last sprinkles moving away about the 7 o'clock hour. We're mostly dry through the night. Another round of storms going to get going early tomorrow morning, and it could be happening near sunrise right around the beach on the west coast of Florida. Those showers will be moving across I-75 near lunchtime, and just like today, expect numerous showers and storms into the early part of the evening before fading away. The heat and humidity stays with us over the next several days. Temperatures into the 90s each afternoon, and when you factor in that humidity, we're going to be flirting with 100 degrees for a few hours, but numerous showers are going to cool us down. We'll be quickly back down into the 70s as we wrap up each afternoon, but dangerous heat for a little while, and nothing really to break up this trend of stormy days as we continue into next week.
With the new college football season just over a month away, the Florida Gators are gearing up for what could be a make-or-break 2024 campaign. See what Florida head coach Billy Napier had to say in today's SEC Media Day, and more after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
I'm Jack Meyer here with everything you need to know about what's going on in the wide world of sports today. We're going to start off with SEC Media Day availability, as Billy Napier was in Dallas, Texas this morning, as the Florida Gators were going to cover the Media Day. Florida's coming off a disappointing 2023 campaign that saw the Gators finishing with a record of 5 wins and 7 losses. Last time was just the third time in the last 30 years that UF had failed to qualify for a bowl game. things won't get any easier from here. According to ESPN, Florida has the toughest strength of schedule out of any team in the Southeastern Conference. Despite these circumstances, however, head coach Billy Napier remains optimistic as he enters his third year under the helm for the Gators. Napier noted how far this program has come under his developing reign.
When we got to the University of Florida, we said, all right, we have to completely rebuild the player experience. We built an $85 million football facility. The Hebner Center has changed the game for us. We've improved every part of the experience, the housing, the parking, the food, the Gator-made player development life after football program.
The Gators will start off their 2024 campaign against the Miami Hurricanes in just over 6 weeks. The two Sunshine State squads will meet at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium on August 31st, with kickoff time set for 3:30 p.m. Yesterday marked the conclusion of the 2024 MLB Draft. The last 3 days have proven to be quite eventful for the Gators baseball team, which saw 5 names called in this year's draft. After Florida's two-way phenom Jack Caglione landed with the Kansas City Royals at pick number 6 in the first round, 4 more Gators heard their names called in the later rounds of the draft. UF closer Brandon Neely was selected by the Boston Red Sox in the 3rd round with the 86th overall pick, while right-hander reliever Fisher Jameson got the call from the Rockies in round 10 at pick number 228. Rounding out the final day of the draft, right-hander Ryan Slater earned a selection from the San Francisco Giants in the 18th round, while shortstop Colby Shelton went in round 20 to the Washington Nationals. Caglione, Neely, and Jameson are all expected to sign contracts and officially go pro, while Shelton currently plans to return to Florida for another year. As of right now, it remains unclear if Slater will turn pro or return for a final season with the Gators. Now let's cross on over from the diamond to the hardwood for some NBA Summer League action. The Miami Heat are fresh off of a 92-79 victory over the Dallas Mavericks to lead off today's slate of games in Las Vegas. Later on in the evening, Tyrese Samuel and the Phoenix Suns will face off against the Oklahoma City Thunder, while Colin Castleton and the Los Angeles Lakers will take on the Atlanta Hawks. The Suns are set to tip off at 8 p.m. on NBA TV, while the Lakers will tip off at 9:30 p.m. on ESPN. And finally, SEC Nation is coming down to Gainesville to open up their coverage of the 2024 football season. SEC Network's weekly traveling show will be on site for the Gators' Week 1 matchup with the Hurricanes, with the lineup featuring analysts such as Laura Rutledge, Paul Feinbaum, and Gator great Tim Tebow. I got to tell you, you already know that Gainesville is going to be rocking come football season. I can't even just wait to see what's going to be going on across the city here.
Yep, well, if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, you might be out of luck because I'm pretty sure they're sold out.
They are indeed. I'm just excited to see what they can do against Miami.
Yeah.
I am a little bit torn. I'm from Miami. I don't know who I'm going to root for now.
It's like South Florida versus North Florida. Yeah, it's just, I mean, what do you got there, Chip?
Before we go.
Yeah, real quick look at the weather. We've got showers wrapping up this evening. Temperatures cooling into the 70s overnight, then another round of rain tomorrow afternoon and every afternoon into next week.
Thanks for joining us. We're back here tomorrow for another edition of First at 5.
But your North Central Florida news is always on at WUFT.org and on all of our social media platforms.